What radicalized you? What made you, who had this comfortable, bougie life in a retired white bubble, decide to come out and talk about racial equity and get yourself silenced on the Book of Faces and disenchanted some of your family members? What do you think happened there? Oh, well, in this time of post-election, pre-2025, who do we want to be when we grow up consideration, I realized that clearing the decks was more than just clearing my social media strands or clearing things off my phone or clearing my workspace. But I've got some mental baggage up here that I didn't even know existed until today. And this silly little TikTok came across my For You page from a very passionate young man about what radicalized you. And given that I was evangelical Christian and I raised my children that way, much to my chagrin now a little, it caused me to do a little life review of what did radicalize me. And here's the moment in time when my head and my heart aligned and started to really click. But it was rapidly followed by 24 other things that I've decided to make into little TikToks along the way. And for this moment, if you want the racial equity piece and the deeper conversations, go find our podcast at One Voice Evolving, because we are in season 2, which means we're in the top 1% of podcasters, and it's going to be amazing. But for now, what radicalized me was when I was over 40 and divorced, oh my God, in the church, story for another day. And I decided to go get the education that had been denied to me when I was a child because my dad said, all you're going to do is get pregnant anyway. I'm not going to waste my money on sending you to college. And so at 40 something, after putting 2 husbands and 3 children, getting their start in college and figuring out their FAFSA and all of that, I decided it was my turn. Welcome to midlife. And I went to Moody Bible Institute, a satellite program in Washington. Moody is a solid evangelical, whatever place that any good Republican voting Christian would be proud to attend. And so that's where I went. I was the oldest student there, and that was okay. And it was classes of about 30 or so, and that was okay. And it was all white male instructors, and that was okay because that was my world back then. What was not okay is after my first year, I intended to do my 4-year degree there. After the first year, I wanted to take a counseling class, because I was already a Christian counselor and I just wanted to see what other tools I could put in the toolbox. And when I went to register through Moody for that, I was denied. It was the mid to late 1990s, and I was denied because the counseling was in the pastor track, and only men, I'm not even joking, could be pastors. And so no, I wasn't allowed to get the education, even though I had no aspiration to take a man's job or find a voice in the church. I couldn't take that training. Now, in that same time frame, women were teaching at the Dallas Theological Seminary, which is a very well-respected evangelical Christian school. Women could teach that course to the pastor track men, but they couldn't take the course. I lost my effing mind, and I decided I wasn't going to support with my dollars that kind of thinking. I went and got their handbook out of the office of this little satellite school, and I read it. And there on page about 7, there it was in black and white, not for women. It reminded me of the Barbra Streisand movie, I think it was called Yentl, about a woman who dressed like a man so she could get the religious education being denied to women. Blew me away. But it wasn't enough for me to do that because I was born to tell the secrets. I was born to put the elephant on the table and say, look and smell this, before we pretend it doesn't exist. And so I went to my final class with my, most astute male professor, who gave me a C in comparative religions because I said, if I had been born in India, I would have been an amazing, whatever that is. If I had been born in another country, I'm a devout whatever I was raised with. And I happened to be born in America, so I was a devout Christian. I still am a Christian. I am not done with God, but I'm so done with the church. So I went to that last class and I said, I just want all the other young women in here to know that if you think you're going to get an equal education in this setting, you are sorely mistaken because you are a female, you can't take this set of coursework or any piece of it. And the male instructor, because he was shook because half of the class was female and he didn't want me tainting their little minds, said, oh, no, I don't think that's really what it says. And I pulled out the handbook with receipts right here, read it to the class. It actually does say that. So until and unless you decide to change the institutional values, I'm taking my money to a different school, and I left. That would have been a pivot point in my 40-something single mom life. From there, I went on for my 4-year degree at a Presbyterian school, which I never went to a Presbyterian church because I didn't like pipe organs. I was all about contemporary worship. If it didn't have drums, it wasn't going to hold my attention. But when I went for my master's degree, I went to Gonzaga University, and Gonzaga is a Jesuit Catholic institution. And when I registered there, I just thought ... and God laughed, because now I have 3 different kinds of education, religious education, and never mind the things I did on my own, like learning Greek so I could read the Bible in the original language without interpretation. So I can talk to anybody about any part of deconstructing religion based on where you are. Fun fact, didn't know, colorblind is still blind. It is not something to aspire to. And the intersectionality of what is today Christian nationalism, with its roots in the 70s in evangelical Christian movement, are undeniable, and how it has infiltrated and is infiltrating our lives, our schools, and our DNA are all part of advancing racial equity in our lifetime. So join me, please. I'm going to do a little series on these for as long as anybody's interested, and we'll see where it goes. Love you.